Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for this News Center Maine special report this afternoon. I'm Brian Iacono.
And I'm Chris Costa. We are about to bring you a live update
here in
from first
Searsmont.
responders
My name is Mike
Here's
Sarchuk.
Commissioner
I'm the Commissioner for
Michael
the Department
Sarchuk.
of Public Safety. We do truly appreciate your patience and your professionalism throughout. Joining me this afternoon will be the Fire Marshal, Chief Sean Essler, Deputy Chief Joel Davis. We're going to have some reps from our partners at ATF. I did want to say very briefly just thank you to the town of Searsmont for hosting us here. We appreciate the hospitality. Everybody's been outstanding on that side. I also want to just say thank you to everyone that's reaching out to victims and families and friends and communities to give their support. We have elected officials that are reaching out on a regular basis. Some have joined us even this afternoon to get some updates. I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to turn this over to Chief Essler, kind of talk about operationally what we've been up to over the last number of days, kind of hit that from a 30,000-foot leadership perspective, and then turn that over to Deputy Chief Davis after that. And Joel will touch on some of the boots on the ground investigative things that are occurring. And again, ATF is here with their representatives from the National Response Team. So if we have any questions for them, we can deal with that. So we will be giving some statements, and then we will be taking some questions this afternoon, and we'll do the best we can to answer those for you. So, Chief.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. As you know, my name's Sean Essler, and it's a privilege to serve as the state's Fire Marshal. We're here to provide an update in the ongoing investigation of the fire and subsequent explosion here in Searsmont. We recognize the responders, the families, and the community members impacted by this tragedy. First, we continue to keep those fighting for their lives in our thoughts and prayers, along with their families and the medical teams that are caring for them. We also mourn the loss of Morrill volunteer firefighter Andrew Cross. On behalf of the Office of the State Fire Marshal, I extend our deepest condolences to his family, his department, and the entire community. I also want to acknowledge Robbins Lumber, its owners, its employees, many of whom have been personally impacted by this tragedy. Robbins Lumber has fully cooperated with our investigation throughout this entire process, and we recognize the importance of the mill and the employees to this community. I want to start by clarifying the role of the Office of State Fire Marshal in this investigation. We are not here to evaluate firefighter tactics, operational decisions, nor are we the department that is responsible for investigating occupational workplace practices at Robbins Lumber. Furthermore, the Office of the State Fire Marshal does not regulate local fire departments or establish statewide fire training procedures. Under Maine law, our responsibility is to determine the origin and cause of the fire and subsequent explosion. Over the last several days, we have seen the very best of Maine. Waldo Strong is more than a phrase. It is something you can feel. We saw it in the lines of people honoring Andrew, in the food donations being delivered to the scene, and in the overwhelming support shown to responders and affected families. So far, and this is not a complete list, but so far, we've logged 46 fire departments, totaling 299 firefighters that have responded over the course of 48 hours to this emergency, and we're still counting. The support has also been extended nationwide. The Governor's Office, the Maine Congressional Delegation, local legislators, the national and state fire service organizations, including the Maine Fire Chiefs Association, have all reached out and in some cases already responded to offers for assistance. Apparatus, turnout gear, and other support continues to pour in. One thing I am absolutely sure of is this: Waldo County, the state of Maine, is behind you. We do encourage people to remain cautious of scams or fraudulent fundraising efforts. Anyone wishing to donate should exercise due diligence and ensure contributions are made through trusted and verified sources. Last night, I had the privilege of meeting with the local fire chiefs affected by this emergency, and when prompted, they asked me to share this message on their behalf. First, to the media, they asked for patience, understanding, and space as their departments grieve the loss of one of their own while they continue to serve their community. Second, they want the public to know how deeply appreciative they are for the support they have received. One chief told me that the volume of hugs he has received has increased significantly in the last several days, and honestly, that says a lot about this area and its people. Simply put, they appreciate it. Finally, they want people to understand that the volunteer fire service needs help. If you've ever considered volunteering, now is the time. Communities like Searsmont depend on it. Not everybody needs to fight fire. Departments need people with all kinds of skills, whether it's administrative support, fundraising, traffic control, EMS, logistics, community outreach, or simply helping where is needed. Everyone has something to offer. Strong volunteer fire departments are built by strong communities. Our investigators continue to work alongside our federal partners to determine the origin and cause of this explosion. This remains a very active and complex investigation. And to that end, I want to recognize the members of the Office of State Fire Marshal and our partner agencies, specifically Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, who have worked long hours, which includes close coordination with firefighter Cross's family during this difficult time. In lockstep with the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation Local Assistance State Team, also known as the LAST team, we are starting the process to secure both state and federal line of duty death benefits for firefighter Cross and his family. That work remains a priority for our office as we continue supporting families throughout this tragedy in the coming weeks. Lastly, I want to thank the town of Searsmont and its selectmen for welcoming us into the community and allowing us the use of the town office during this incredibly difficult week. You've heard enough from me at this point, so at this time I'd like to introduce Deputy Chief Joel Davis. He is the Chief Investigator for the Office of the State Fire Marshal to provide an update on the ongoing investigation.
Okay, my name is Joel Davis. I'm the Chief Fire Investigator for the State Fire Marshal's Office. Again, we want to thank all the agencies that have assisted us from day one. The day of the incident, we were trying to organize things, and we were assisted that day. Many agencies came forward to give us a hand in organizing the chaos of the investigation at that time. The Maine Forest Service, Maine State Police, the Maine Marine Patrol, the Maine Warden Service, Waldo County Sheriff's Office, Knox County Sheriff's Office, and numerous local agencies stepped forward and provided resources and personnel to get a handle on that first evening's activities that we needed help with. Our mission as investigators at this point is to seek answers on how this fire occurred. We are seeking those answers for the Cross family and the fire service as a whole to try to prevent any future incidents of this nature. That's our main focus. Due to the nature of the magnitude of this incident, I requested assistance from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Friday night. The State Fire Marshal's Office has a long-standing relationship with Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms going back decades. One example is the cooperation we have. Our main accelerant canine dogs, our arson dogs, our ATF dogs, our handlers are trained by ATF, and those dogs are provided by them. So we have a long-term relationship with them. ATF National Response Team had personnel on the ground by Saturday morning, only hours after the incident occurred. ATF right now has approximately over 30 personnel assigned in Searsmont, including special agents, origin and cause experts, engineers, clerical staff, and computer modeling experts, and laboratory personnel to assist us. The State Fire Marshal currently has myself, 3 sergeants, 12 of our 15 investigators that cover the state are here working the scene also. Despite the scale and complexity of this incident, we have continued to provide fire investigation services statewide while maintaining a professional response here because of the tremendous assistance by ATF. The state, on Friday, just to give you an update about what we're doing, on Friday, the first day of the incident, our focus that day was basically accountability. We wanted to get accountability on all the firefighters that were here to determine if anybody was missing and what we needed to do to try to locate them at area hospitals. At that time, that evening, also one of our main focus was recovering firefighter Cross from the debris and preparing him for the dignified transfer to the medical examiner's office, which our investigators did professionally. Throughout Friday night, investigators monitored the conditions of injured parties and which hospitals they were transported to and which ones they were being transferred to, so we could get a handle on where they were going to and get a status of their injuries. On Saturday morning, investigators assessed the scene and developed plans for interviewing firefighters and mill employees. A command post was established here at the Searsmont town office. ATF personnel, more personnel arrived on scene and were briefed on the incident. And together we coordinated the investigative assignments, logistics, and operational planning for the week. On Sunday, investigators began the scene examination. However, if you remember, the high winds were bad that day and it created some dangerous conditions out there due to flying materials. One ATF agent sustained a minor injury, a minor cut, because of metal roofing that was flying around during that time. But dozens of interviews were conducted. And Monday, we brought in heavy equipment on the scene to assist investigators in moving the large metal pieces and the structural debris in the area where we needed to work. Investigators also utilized drones and mapping technology to document the locations of all the firefighting equipment that was left at the scene and damaged or destroyed. Today, investigators are using heavy equipment more to remove the remains of a large pieces of metal in the area of where the silo is, so they can get in under where the incident happened. And they're operating at this time at the scene doing that. To date, investigators have conducted more than 150 interviews, and they continue to seek leads of other people to be interviewed through those interviews they've conducted. And just so you know, they're sifting through debris during this whole time, trying to locate items to analyze and to figure out what they may have for a relationship to the fire. Tomorrow we plan on bringing in some large cranes. You'll see those in the area. That's to try to remove the remains of the silo that is at the seat of the incident, and they will be working to get in under that where the silo lays to try to figure out what's left and what we can gain from the debris underneath. And the investigators will continue processing the scene carefully, methodically, and safely. And again, the investigators appreciate all the support as they go eat, have lunch around the area. People have stepped forward and offered to buy lunch, and it's just been a great outpouring of support for them, so they appreciate it. And we just ask you that you keep the Cross family in your thoughts and prayers throughout this as we seek answers for them.
That's it. Sure.
My name's Christopher Staples. I'm a selectman in town. And on behalf of the select board in the town of Searsmont, I'd like to thank everybody that showed up here, dropped everything and came to help the Robbins Mill fire. It's a lot, and we're gonna, the town's hurting, but there's a lot of strong people here, and we're small, but we're wide. It's a large family. So appreciate everybody that's been here, this whole crew. They put a lot of hours in, and they still got a lot of hours to go. So thank you, all of you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
So we can take some questions and see how it plays out. The rain is even broken for you, so you're lucky on that side. Yeah, sure. Yep, for Deputy Chief Davis.
We've spoken to an expert yesterday talking about sawdust might be a possibility, an explosion. Determine anything that with the sawdust is that a possibility?
That's all part of the process. I mean, everybody knows it's obvious we had some sort of incident there. Any type of fire involves fuel and air, and that's what we're going to try to figure out is what brought those together and how this happened. It's just too early to say until we even know what sparked the initial fire. I can't tell you what that is.
Did firefighters have access to nitrogen gas injection equipment to bring down the fire in the silo?
Again, we're trying to figure out all this. That's more of a firefighter operational thing, and at some point we'll, in our report, we'll figure all that out. But that's an operation thing. I wouldn't comment on that.
Roughly how long after the initial report of the fire the explosion occurred?
Again, we're developing a timeline of how things happened. I mean, there's radio traffic out there that's widely available, and I think you can figure that out. I don't think it was long after the fire department arrived, but I don't have an exact time.
You said something about finding Mr. Cross in the debris. How long later was that in the afternoon? Could you give a sense of the timeline around that?
Obviously, several hours later, we removed Andrew. I'm not going to go into further about that.
So where this explosion occurred, I know Robbins Lumber generates electricity for the area. Was that in that part of the lumber mill, or was it in a different area?
I don't believe there's anything to do with any electrical generation in that area where we're at. So, but that'll be the investigators are looking at all that right now.
What specific hazards does fighting a silo fire, specifically one that is at the lumber mill, pose?
Well, fire departments are trained in fighting fire. All fire is dangerous to them, and hopefully at the end of our investigation, we're going to be able to provide some answers to what you should look for, just for that reason, and that's what we're here for. And there'll be other agencies that'll look at that. There's obviously been other incidents at grain places and stuff like that, but this is going to be a new one at a lumber mill. We're going to try to get some answers on that.
What have you learned from conducting all these interviews? Anything jump out at you that you've learned from all these interviews you've done?
I'm not going to go into specific on interviews, but I will say one thing we've learned is there was a lot of heroics played that day, not just by firefighters, but people that came and people that stepped up and did what they could to help the injured firemen and the employees. That's a big part of it.
I've heard from other investigators that timelines are hard to tell. Do we have any guess of when you might be done, at least with the on-site investigation part?
We're hoping to, have it wrapped up in days, but wherever it leads us, we'll take it from there. We have the resources on site, and we're going to keep. ATF is committed to staying here as long as it takes to figure out what's going on. So.
Any idea where we might have official cause? I know you can't say like weeks, months.
No idea.
Okay.
Was there a team at Robbins Lumber trained in emergency management, and did they try to put out the fire first?
I'm not. I can't speak to what Robbins Lumber had there. And again, we're not here to investigate tactics and strategies of anybody. So.
No, I know. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to understand.
I don't.
what happened.
I can't. I don't know right now.
Can I clarify a couple of numbers you threw out at the beginning of this presentation? Did I hear 46 communities and 299 personnel responded?
Yes.
The last figure we heard was about 26 communities. How did we get from 26 to 46?
We're including this incident went into over a 24-hour operational period.
Yes.
And there was departments that were brought in, from what I understand, that were from a long ways away to relieve Waldo County from as far away as Augusta, Chief?
Oh, yeah.
Yarmouth, many different areas to give that relief after a operational period.
Thank you for the clarification.
How important is it to have the ATF here working on this as well? Maybe the ATF person who's going to talk as well?
It's just incredible. We work daily with our ATF partners. They're the only federal agency that conducts fire investigations. They do a lot of training. Like I said, our arson dogs here in Maine are trained by the ATF, and it's just a hand-in-glove system that we have. And we still have to investigate other fires coming in Maine. And we have a limited amount of investigators, and if we didn't have ATF here, it would be hard on the State Fire Marshal's office to continue that 24-hour coverage of investigating fires. If you have a question for them.
This might be for the fire marshal, but can you say how long has it been before this incident where there was like a Mayday, all units report to the site type situation? Just kind of put into context like the magnitude of this.
I think the most recent event in history that we can all point to that still isn't as significant as this one, but in its own context, it's very significant, is Farmington. So the Farmington explosion was the last time that it was a county-wide response, and not only to the emergency, but in the weeks after the emergency, to stand up the fire department and keep the citizens of Farmington protected with other fire units. Very similar to what may happen here in Waldo County.
All right, so again, thank you very much for coming. We try to be a little bit more expansive from Friday. I appreciated your patience in the middle, actively fighting a fire on Friday to now, a few days into this investigation. So thank you. We appreciate your partnerships. We know how important your mission is to get the word out to communities. Again, be safe. We thank you very much, and we'll provide updates down the road as appropriate. Okay, thank you very much. Take care.
You've been watching a live press briefing from Searsmont on Friday's deadly explosion and blast at the Robbins Mill there. A lot was covered in this briefing, much more than the last time we saw a briefing there, including questions from reporters there on the scene. We have crews there on the scene following that. We'll have much more in our newscast. Some highlights, though, were some of those numbers that were shared, that there were 46 fire departments involved there, 299 firefighters responding over a period of 48 hours. And they say they're still counting those numbers as crews continue helping out.
Oh, absolutely, because as you know, mutual aid, right? We know that there was damage to apparatus, so there's a practical aspect to that as well. But in addition, they're just trying to relieve these firefighters who have been on for 24, 48 hours. So yeah, I would imagine more agencies. I mean, they even mentioned one as far away as Yarmouth.
To go up and help out there. And also a clarification from Deputy Chief Joel Davis of the Fire Marshal's office saying their job, to clarify, is to find out what happened.
The origin and the cause of the fire.
Not to go there and say the department should have responded differently or they responded perfectly, or logistics and tactics are not what the Fire Marshal is there for.
Correct. And notably, what we did not hear from the Fire Marshal's office was exactly the origin or the cause. They talked about how difficult this scene has been to examine and investigate. And in fact, it was the Fire Marshal's office that said it wasn't until Sunday that they were actually able to do a scene examination. That's when they walk through the scene, actually look at the debris and all of the elements involved. So, you know, that's at least 24 hours after, probably closer to 48 after the initial fire broke out.
Before they really got there.
Correct.
They've done 150 interviews so far. They expect to do more interviews. The next step, they say, would be that tomorrow we can expect to see large cranes moving in there to try to move some of that debris. So as we said, we had crews on the scene. That is the latest from that live update from our state officials. We will have much more, of course, starting right here at 4 o'clock. We'll see you there.